When your own sister stands up at your housewarming party and claims your house as hers. In front of 30 guests, what do? Cry, scream, or smile? Because you've been waiting for this moment. Hey everyone, welcome to her Retaliation, where women turn heartbreak into power. If you love stories of poetic revenge, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this one will leave you breathless. The laughter echoed through the tall glass windows of my new home, my dream home. The one I had saved for, sacrificed for, fought for. Soft jazz played from the speakers, the scent of vanilla candles mixed with the aroma of freshly baked pastries, and my husband, Ryan, moved gracefully among the guests, pouring wine with that calm, unbothered smile of his. It was my housewarming night, a celebration of finally making it on my own terms. For the first time in my life, I felt proud, not of the house itself, but of what it represented: freedom, peace, rebuilding after years of family manipulation. Then she walked in, Clara, my older sister, beautiful, confident, and toxic in a way that always left me doubting myself. She had texted me that morning, I might stop by if I'm free. And now here she was in a sleek silver dress, her hair in waves, wearing that trademark smile that said she was about to ruin something. When I saw her, my stomach tightened, but I forced myself to smile. We hadn't spoken properly in almost a year, not since the inheritance argument after our parents passed. Wow, she said, her voice dripping with admiration and venom. You really did well for yourself, Thea. Must be nice, living my dream. Guests nearby chuckled politely, not realizing how much that small sentence cut into me. Thanks, Clara. I replied softly. I'm glad you could make it. Ryan handed her a glass of wine, and I caught his eye. He knew how much energy it took for me to even pretend to be polite. The evening moved smoothly. Neighbors mingled, my colleagues admired the artwork on the walls, and my best friend, Leela, teased me about finally having a kitchen big enough to cook in. But Clara, she never stopped watching me. Every smile of mine seemed to trigger something in her. She asked loud, pointed questions. So, Thea, how did you afford this? Did Ryan's company help you out? You know, Mom and Dad always said you were the lucky one. Her tone was light, but I saw the daggers hidden in her words. Ryan brushed it off with grace, as he always did. But I could see the discomfort spreading among the guests. Leela leaned toward me and whispered, She's trying to get a rise out of you. Don't bite. I nodded. But deep down, something told me this wasn't just sibling bitterness. There was a plan behind those sharp smiles. By 9:00 p.m., it was time for a toast. Ryan tapped his glass. Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. The chatter quieted. I took a deep breath, standing beside him, feeling a wave of warmth, gratitude, love, relief. This house, I began, isn't just a place. It's a new chapter. After everything, Clara's voice sliced through the air like a blade. I think I should say something. The room froze. She stepped forward, smiling that rehearsed smile. You all probably don't know this. She began, but technically, this house isn't Thea's. My heart stopped. Every guest turned toward her. Ryan's jaw tightened. Leela set down her drink slowly. What are you talking about? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. Clara raised her phone, scrolling with deliberate slowness. You see, our parents, the one dividing the estate, had a few interesting clauses. The funds used to buy this property came from a joint account that included my name. She smiled wider. So, legally, this house belongs to me. A collective gasp rippled through the guests. I felt the blood drain from my face. Clara continued, So, Thea, I'll give you a moment to gather your things. I wouldn't want to embarrass you in front of your friends, but legally you're standing in my house. The silence was suffocating. Someone coughed nervously. Another whispered, Is she serious? Ryan didn't move. He just sipped his wine, calm, controlled. Leela's hand found mine under the table, a quiet show of solidarity. I looked at Clara, her satisfaction, her triumph. But inside me, something shifted. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just looked at her and smiled, because what she didn't know was that I had been waiting for this exact moment. The rest of the evening disintegrated into whispers. Guests slowly began excusing themselves, some avoiding my eyes, others muttering apologies. Ryan escorted the last guests out while I stood in the empty living room, staring at the grand chandelier, the one Clara had just called hers. When the door finally closed, Ryan turned to me. "So," he said softly, "you think she's finished?" I laughed quietly, bitterly. "She thinks she's won." He stepped closer, and has she. I met his gaze calm, steady, not even close. Because Clara wasn't the only one who had read that will. She wasn't the only one who had spoken to our family lawyer. And she definitely wasn't the only one who had been planning something. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the marble floor, too bright for how heavy my heart felt. The night replayed in my mind like a cruel dream. Clara's smirk, the whispers, the way my guests avoided eye contact as they left. But instead of crying, I brewed my coffee, sat at the dining table, and opened my laptop. I had already expected Clara might try something like this. Ever since the inheritance dispute, I'd known she couldn't stand the idea of me living freely without her shadow. That's why, months ago, I had quietly spoken to our parents' attorney, Mr. Alden. He'd handled every legal matter for our family since I was a child, and he knew Clara's manipulative habits well. Back then, when I told him I was buying a home, he made me take extra precautions. We placed the property under a trust in my name only, separate from all inherited funds. The money Clara was referring to, that joint account, had been closed years before, but I never corrected her assumption. I let her believe whatever she wanted, because I knew that one day her arrogance would destroy her and I wouldn't have to lift a finger. Ryan entered the room quietly, placing a kiss on my forehead. "You didn't sleep," he murmured. "I didn't need to." I said, "Everything's already in motion." He raised a brow, that slight smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You're terrifying when you say things like that." I smiled faintly. "Only when someone deserves it." That day, I sent an email to Mr. Alden, asking him to meet me by the end of the week. Then I called Leela. She answered on the second ring. "Please tell me you didn't do anything drastic." "Not yet," I said calmly. "But I will," Leela sighed. "Thea, that woman humiliated you in front of everyone. You have every right to be furious, but don't do something you'll regret." "Oh, I'm not going to regret it," I said softly. "She will." For the next few days, I went about my life as if nothing had happened. I posted cheerful photos, thanked everyone for attending the party, and even commented under Clara's smug social media posts, the ones where she wrote things like "Some people forget who really owns what." Let her have her moment. Because I knew her ego would make her careless, 3 days later, Clara showed up at my gate again. She didn't call first. She never did. Ryan was away at a meeting, and I was in the garden trimming my lavender when I saw her car pull up. She stepped out wearing oversized sunglasses and that condescending smirk that used to make me shrink as a child. "Well," she said, "I assume you've started packing." I didn't even flinch. "No, should I have?" She laughed. "Oh, Thea, denial doesn't suit you. I've already spoken to a lawyer. You'll be hearing from them soon." I set the shears down carefully. "Perfect," I said. "Then we'll let the law speak for itself." She tilted her head. "Still pretending you're not terrified." "I don't need to pretend," I said. She rolled her eyes and turned to leave, heels clicking dramatically against the stone path. "You always were good at playing the victim." When her car disappeared down the road, I let out a slow exhale. The game had begun. That evening, I met Mr. Alden at his office downtown. His silver hair glistened under the lamplight, and his calm, professional tone soothed me immediately. "I read your message," he said. "And yes, I've seen what your sister's trying to do. She's threatening to sue," I said, "and she's convinced she'll win." Mr. Alden chuckled softly. "She won't. Thea, I drafted the legal documents myself. Your property was purchased entirely from your personal earnings and placed under a trust. There's not a single legal ground she can stand on." "Then why do I feel like I've already lost?" I whispered. "Because humiliation burns deeper than injustice," he said kindly. "But I suspect you're not looking for comfort, you're looking for closure." I met his eyes. "I want her to know what she's done, publicly. I want her to realize she tried to destroy me and only destroyed herself." He leaned back, a faint smile on his lips. "Then I suggest we give her exactly what she's asking for, a public reckoning." We spent the next hour quietly arranging everything. I didn't need to fight Clara in court. I only needed to let her walk into her own trap. A week later, Clara's lawyer sent a formal claim notice full of confident accusations and legal jargon that made her look unstoppable. She must have felt powerful signing those papers. I almost pitied her, almost. I replied through Mr. Alden, attaching the trust deed and the updated financial records documents even her lawyer couldn't deny. It didn't just prove that the property was legally mine. It also revealed that Clara had, in fact, withdrawn funds from my inheritance share years ago without authorization. In short, she had accidentally confessed to theft. When Clara received the notice, she called me immediately. Her voice shook. "What the hell is this?" "It's the truth." I said simply, You set me up." "No." I said softly, "You did that all on your own." She was silent for a long moment. Then she whispered, "You think you've won." "This isn't about winning," I replied. "It's about ending." I hung up before she could answer. That night, as rain tapped against the windows, Ryan wrapped his arms around me. "You finally look peaceful," he said. "I am," I whispered, "because she's finally learning that control isn't power, truth is." The next morning, the gossip spread faster than wildfire. Word got out that Clara's so-called ownership claim had backfired. Her employer, who had attended the party, heard about the legal mess. Her reputation, the one she guarded so fiercely, began to crumble, and I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. All I did was post one simple line on my social media that morning, beneath a photo of me sipping coffee in my living room. Peace always belongs to the one who stops fighting first. The comments flooded in. People drew their own conclusions. Clara stayed silent online. For the first time in her life, she had nothing left to say. A week passed before I heard from Clara again. Her silence had been loud, too loud. I knew her pride wouldn't let her stay quiet for long. One rainy afternoon, as I was watering the plants by the window, the intercom buzzed. Ryan was at work, and Leela was visiting her parents. I pressed the button, already knowing who it would be. "Thea," Clara's voice crackled through the speaker. "Please, can I come in?" For a moment, I just stood there. The same sister who had humiliated me in front of 30 people was now outside my gate, voice trembling. I didn't want revenge anymore, not the kind that involved shouting or proving her wrong. I wanted something purer, a moment that showed her who I'd become and what she'd lost, so I opened the gate. She looked nothing like the glamorous woman who had strutted through my house days ago. Her makeup was smudged, her hair messy, her eyes red. She was clutching a folder, probably legal documents, and her hands were shaking. "I didn't know," she whispered as she stepped inside. "I didn't know the trust existed. My lawyer told me everything. Her voice cracked. I ruined myself. I didn't answer. I simply led her to the same dining table where she'd stood so proudly, claiming my house as hers. She sat down slowly, tears threatening to spill. I thought, "You'd taken what was mine." I just wanted to feel like I still had something. After Mom and Dad, after everything. I couldn't stand seeing you happy. Her words were pathetic, but honest. For the first time in years, she wasn't performing, she was exposed. I took a deep breath. "Clara, I didn't take anything from you. You took it from yourself. Every time you lied, every time you needed to be the better one, you built your own cage." She looked at me, her face pale. "I'm going to lose my job, Thea. The company doesn't want the scandal. They think I forged documents. I didn't mean to." I stopped her gently. "Clara, I'm not going to ruin what's left of you, but I'm also not going to save you. You made your choices." She pressed a hand to her mouth, sobbing quietly. "You must hate me." I stared at her for a long moment. "No, I don't hate you. That's what makes this powerful." She frowned through her tears. "What do you mean? I don't hate you," I said softly. "Because hating you means you still have a part of me, and you don't anymore." Silence filled the room. Outside, the rain softened. I stood and walked to the front door. She followed, hesitant, her steps unsteady. Before she left, she turned back. "You're not going to tell anyone, are you, about the money I took?" I looked at her, not unkindly. "You already told the wrong people yourself. That's how the truth works. It doesn't need me to speak it." For a moment, her expression was unreadable shame, sorrow, and the faintest flicker of something like gratitude. She nodded once and left. When the gate clicked shut, I let out a slow breath. The storm had finally passed. Later that night, Ryan returned home. I told him everything. He listened quietly, then took my hand and said, "You didn't just win, Thea. You ended it with grace. That's rarer than victory." We sat together in silence, the soft hum of the rain in the background, and for the first time in years I felt free. Weeks passed. Clara moved away, back to a small town near the coast. I didn't hear from her again, but occasionally I'd see her name pop up in charity donation lists or local volunteer pages. Maybe she was trying to rebuild. Maybe guilt had turned into growth I didn't need to know. One evening, as I sat on my porch watching the sunset, Leela joined me. "You really did it," she said softly. "You didn't destroy her, you made her face herself." I smiled faintly. That's the only kind of revenge that lasts. I raised my glass of wine, feeling the golden light warm against my skin. My house, my peace was finally mine in every sense, not because I won a legal fight, but because I learned the difference between power and peace. And that, more than anything, was my retaliation. No, Clara had made one fatal mistake. She underestimated me.